Hey everyone! Today we are diving deep into the magic that makes websites feel alive and interactive. We're going to look at what happens from the moment you click your mouse to how a website responds, and maybe more importantly, how developers write really clean, smart code to make that happen seamlessly.
I mean, it seems so simple, right? You just click and boom, something happens. But under the hood, there's this really fascinating system of signals and listeners working together. In this explainer, we're going to pull back the curtain and decode that whole process, from start to finish.
So here's the game plan. We'll start with the absolute basics, what an event even is. Then we'll see how our code can listen for them. After that, we'll get into a really powerful, pro-level technique called delegation. We'll even look at how these events literally travel through the page. And finally, we'll put it all together with a cool, practical example. All right, let's dive in.
Okay, first things first. Let's lock down the most fundamental piece of the puzzle, the building block for all user interaction on the web.
The best way to think of an event is just as a notification. The browser is constantly shouting out these little messages, like, hey, the user just clicked this button over here, or, whoa, someone's typing in this search box. These are the exact signals our JavaScript code is waiting to hear, so it can spring into action.
So if the browser is broadcasting all these event signals, how does our code actually, how does it catch them? Let's take a look at how we get our code to pay attention.
This right here is where we give our web page an ear to listen with. Seriously, an event listener is just a function that we tell to stick to a specific element on the page. It just sits there patiently waiting for one particular event, like a click, and the moment it hears it, it fires off and does its job.
And here's what that looks like in actual code. This is the classic, most common way to do it. We're telling the browser, hey, go find this specific button for me. Attach this listener to it, and when you hear a click event on it, run this little function. Now here, we're just logging a simple message. But that function, it could do anything. Show a pop-up, submit a form, play a video, you name it.
Attaching one listener to one button is awesome. But what happens when things get more complicated? This is where we graduate from the basics and learn a technique that is genuinely elegant, and honestly, it's what the pros do.
Just picture it. A massive to-do list, a gallery with hundreds of photos, or an e-commerce site with a grid of products. Are you really going to attach a separate listener to every single one? No way! That would be so inefficient. Your browser would have to keep track of all of them, which would slow things down. Plus, and this is a big one, what happens when you add a new item to the list? You'd have to remember to add a listener to that one too. It just gets messy fast.
And this is where event delegation changes everything. Instead of slapping a listener on every single child item, we put just one listener on their parent container. The difference is night and day. It's way faster, it's so much easier to manage, and here's the magic part. It automatically works for new items that you add to the page later. No extra code required.
So the really crucial point here is that delegation solves multiple problems all at once. You write less code, which means that code is easier to read and maintain. Your page runs faster. And it's just more robust because it handles dynamic content without you even thinking about it. This isn't just a clever trick, it's a foundational best practice.
And here's the code that makes it happen. See? We attach one single listener to the parent container. Then, inside our function, we just check what was actually clicked. That's what addEventTarget does. If the thing that got clicked happens to be one of our items, then we run our logic. It's like having one single manager who oversees the work of the entire team. Super efficient.
Now you might be thinking, hold on a second, how can the parent element hear a click that happened way down on one of its children? That is a fantastic question, and the answer is in the incredible journey that every single event takes through the web page.
So, believe it or not, every web event has a three-step journey. First is the capturing phase. The event starts at the very top of the page and travels down through all the parent elements until it gets to its destination. Second, it hits the target. That's the thing you actually clicked. And finally, this is the secret sauce for delegation, it enters the bubbling phase, where it travels all the way back up through those same parents.
And this bubbling behavior is everything. It's the key. Because the event bubbles up from the child, any parent element along that path has a chance to hear it. Our single listener on the container, It's just catching that click event as it bubbles on by. This default behavior is what makes the entire concept of delegation possible.
Okay, theory time is over. Let's put this into practice and see how it works in the real world. You know, a classic tabbed interface is the absolute perfect example of where event delegation just shines.
The goal here is simple, right? You click a tab, it becomes the active one, and the others are not. Now, the inefficient way would be to put a separate click listener on every single tab. But now, we know a much better way to do it.
And here is that elegant solution in action. We put just one event listener on the main.tabs container that holds all the tabs. When a click happens somewhere inside of it, our one listener fires, it checks if the thing that was clicked was in fact a .tab. If it was, we run our logic to switch the active tab. This code is clean, it's fast, and will keep on working even if we add 10 more tabs later. No changes required.
So to wrap this all up, what are the big takeaways? Number 1, addEventListener is your go-to for flexible event handling. 2, understand that event journey. Down for capturing, up for bubbling. 3, use that bubbling to your advantage with event delegation. It's a game changer for performance. And finally, a little pro tip. In more complex applications, always remember to clean up your listeners when you don't need them anymore. It prevents memory leaks and keeps things running smoothly.
Event delegation is such a fundamental pattern in modern web development. Now that you see how it works, start thinking about all the other places you could use it. You know, image carousels, accordion menus, maybe even something like an interactive chessboard. Once you get it, you'll start seeing opportunities for this powerful technique everywhere.